What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Money Monday. It's me. For those of you who don't know me, let me reintroduce myself to you. I am J. Michelle Robinson, the wealth strategist, bringing wealth and value to you on today's Money Monday. Listen, I am super excited about today's Money Monday, as I have a very special guest here with me today, Ms. Ashley Grayson, who is the Vice President of Social Media at Paramount. I am about to bring Ms. Grayson on stage. So I know we are in virtual world, but if you can give her a round of applause as she comes on stage, Ms. Ashley Grayson, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic and happy to be here. First of all, the theme song had me a little, I said, wait a minute now.
I try to tell you, my vision is to have a drum line.
Listen, that's a little good groove right
Carry
there.
that out.
Yes.
So, yes, thank you so much. But thank you so much for being here with us this morning. This month is Black History Month. And I really want to do a lot of different empowerment and education to target our African American brothers and sisters. And today, I specifically want to talk to the entrepreneurs. And as I mentioned, you are the Vice President of Social Media at Paramount. So, first of all, I do want to take a minute and have you introduce yourself before we dive into this topic, because you have an amazing bio.
Thank you. Yes, Vice President of Social for Paramount. I'm actually approaching my 2-year anniversary next week. And more specifically, I love that this is, I guess, shaped around or framed around Black History Month, because more specifically, I'm the Vice President for Social for BET and VH1. And I would say my journey really has been legitimately trusting the process. Like one good decision led to another good decision. So it never happened quickly or as cleanly or on my time. But, looking at my 2-year anniversary, it all happened in due time and when it was the right time for me. I would say, my story, I'm from Baltimore, and my story or development is very much like a lot of people from Baltimore. So first to graduate from high school, first to do undergrad, first to do grad school. And then, I've worked at Disney and Paramount and NBC Universal and TV One. And a lot of those experiences, sometimes you sit back in those conference rooms and you're like, by destiny, I wasn't necessarily supposed to be here. So it has been quite an amazing journey and super grateful to be where I am. But, really undergrad, 4 internships. I remember my last day presenting my internship presentation, and my professor was like, at some point you might want to slow down and take a break. And I think about that sometimes, and the success and the accomplishments that I've had, because it really was never a time to kind of sit back and take a break. It was keep your foot on the pedal, because if you know that you have the skills and the talent, and you keep pushing, that those things that are meant for you will come true.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And a couple of things as you were sharing resonated with me. First and foremost of all, I'm an East Coast girl. I'm actually from Salisbury, Maryland. So I'm across the bridge from you in Baltimore. And so definitely excited about that. I always love talking and sharing with folks from the East Coast, because I am here in the Pacific Northwest and it is a completely different culture here. The second thing that you said that resonated with me was being the first to graduate from high school and the first to graduate from college. And so many of us, specifically in our generation, we are the first. We are the first to graduate high school. We're the first to get a college education. We're the first to have a career. We're the first to be entrepreneurs. And with that being said, oftentimes we don't have a roadmap or anyone to, tell us what to do, how to be successful. A lot of times we're doing things by trial and error. And so this is why I think that today's topic, which is about entrepreneurs and how to leverage social media in your business, how to make money. I think this is so important because social media is newer. I'm not saying that it's new, but it's newer. And
Yeah.
so it's important that we have the tips, the tools, the techniques, and all of those things to be able to leverage social media to successfully run our businesses, to assist and aid us in marketing, and even to generate income. So, as the VP of social media, I would like to start off by asking you, how important is social media for entrepreneurs in today's digital age?
That's such a good question. I think, and I was actually talking to someone the other day, and it was an older entrepreneur, and some of the feedback was one that it's two different perspectives, right? It's like, oh, it's easy, but it's not working. Oh, it's too hard and it's not worth it, right? I think that's the journey that people typically go through when they are trying to create a space and a platform across social. It's not as easy as it looks, right? It's a talent. It is a full-time job. I think it is incredibly important. And I think the advantage of social media is it really level sets the game because I work for Paramount, right? And we have nice budgets that we can create social media campaigns. We can put paid dollars behind it to kind of extend and expand our reach quickly. But that doesn't always mean that those campaigns work. You can put a lot of money behind things, but if the content doesn't resonate, if it's not good, it will fall flat. Um, Opposed to that is there are everyday people who have tapped into their superpower, which is storytelling in some extent. And most people don't even realize that it's storytelling, but it is storytelling. And they have found ways to connect with people who find common interests and share similar experiences. And I think those are the people who have found success in social, whether it was overnight or not. I think a lot of people build a social or launch a social media page, and a month in, they're like, well, I haven't grown any followers. It's not worth it. It's not worth the investment. And I think social media, much like a celebrity actress, right? You work 30 years and then you become an overnight success. That's how social works. There is one moment that could change your life, but that one moment requires consistency. And I think it is invaluable to entrepreneurs because it gives you an opportunity to put your brand in front of different audiences and test it. And if you can't resonate on this platform, maybe there are things about your brand or your business that you can be tweaking in real time.
That's awesome. And one of the things that I know I've struggled with, that I hear people get discouraged about, deals with how to increase your following and how to increase your engagement. Because it's one thing, of course, to have a huge number of followers, but not have that engagement. Are there any tips that you can provide as it relates to how to increase your, and I know you mentioned consistency, but how to increase that following? So getting the likes, getting the follows, and then in addition to that, actually getting people to engage on the post and the different things that are being shared on social media.
It definitely starts with consistency, right? You have to condition yourself. It's like doing laundry. It's like eating 3 meals a day. It's like drinking 64 ounces of water. Like you have to commit to a schedule and discipline yourself and say, no matter what, I'm posting 3 times this week. It helps get you into a rhythm. You start to become a lot more comfortable with whether you're on camera or whether you're learning Canva and you're learning how to make assets to promote your business, right? You have to train and build a habit and then condition the skill. So I would say consistency is one. I think the other thing is like really studying social media. And when I say studying, the word, right, people typically turn away because no one wants to study. Social media should be fun and all those things. But really, when you are scrolling through your pages essentially you're studying, right? I lay in the bed in the morning and at night, and I'm going through the feeds, not just to be entertained, but really to learn what is new in the space, that whether it's a color palette, whether it's a new ad that worked, it's a new influencer that just popped up. Well, what about that person resonated with other people in a way that I can learn from it? I think those are two really ways. And then creating content. Content is challenging. It is not as easy as it looks. Like my niece, for example, my older niece, she has a son, a teenage son, and he's like, "Well, Aunt Ashley, like her Instagram page is it's this and that, and it looks so easy." And she's like, "You don't understand the years that it took for it to look easy, and it's not easy, right?" And then I think about the follower or the content creators that I really like and I follow. Someone getting out of the bed, they put that camera there, they shot that first scene. Then if they
Uh-huh.
wanted a different angle, they gotta get back into the bed and capture a second angle if they don't have 2 phones, right? It is not as easy as it looks, but if you look at other examples, like, what do you really love about what you see on social? You take those lessons and you start to apply them to your content. And I would say, like, it's also building relationships with younger people who are naturally into it. And it's like, hey, I have this business. Why don't you come over here and give me your thoughts on like how do we make me a brand as well as my business? And I think that's difficult for a lot of people, even in my space where I look at my like leadership team. We're on social all the time, but it isn't as easy for us to take the time and capture us in our like big moments, right? It is like we too have to be intentional about it, or it just will never get posted.
I think about myself and I think about my challenge to go live. And a lot of that is riddled with feeling like I have to always be made up and put together. And in the moment when I think about going live or creating a reel, it's like, I don't have my lashes on, or I don't have makeup on.
Mhm.
I can't go, I'm not ready to go live. And, then there becomes this procrastination because it's never the right time. Can you speak to that? Because I know, because I've talked to other business owners and wannabe content creators, and a lot of us struggle with that same thing, not feeling like
Mhm.
everything is right and together in order to take the picture or record the video.
I think like two things, right? Culturally, we just as a people, we like to look good, right? When we are you documenting this, I want to make sure I'm at my top best, right? So I think culturally that's a thing. And as women also, right? Like we want to kind of look as nice as we can because we judge ourselves so harshly. I think if you look at most of the people who have found success in social media who aren't like backed by a major brand or haven't like elevated themselves as artists who then became content creators, it is really the everyday people who are resonating with everyday people. And I think sometimes it's given ourselves the grace of, in this moment, I want to tell this story. And I think sometimes if we take the time and we go put our makeup on and our lashes off, sometimes you lose the same energy and intent behind why you wanted to share this story. I think the other thing that I really love about social media is the community kind of gets around good people and good stories and they amplify it. And most of those are just not people who had taken the time to make themselves up. They came as who they are. And I think about like church and how my pastor used to always say, come as you are, right? The first job is get into the house
Mhm.
and worship and be one. Don't put the pressure on you on having to look like other people who are there, because that's not the purpose of church, right? And that's not the purpose of social. We always want to look our best, but I think the intention and knowing your why are you on social? And I think like the wealth strategist, right? There's something about our community and your interest in wealth and money matters and sharing that story that trumps lashes.
Mm.
And I think those are we have to be grounded in the why, right? I'm here because there's something I want to share with my community and my people, and that is more important than me not sharing that message because I have to go dedicate 2 hours to making myself look like I think this is what you want to see. People want the story, I think, and people want this authenticity and
That's
people
good.
who look like themselves, right? Like we're not always made up. Some of my best content, I look like, I took everything off and I'm just a regular person. And sometimes I go back and I'm like, should I post it? Should I not post it? Right. And then it's always that dynamic. But like Christmas, for example, when I have my nieces and my little brothers, I'm not made up. I have on matching PJs and we're running around the house making TikToks together. And like that is where most of my friends are like, I love this. You're such a great aunt, right? It's not the stuff when I'm polished on the red carpet that always works. It's like the everyday moments that just make you human and make people be able to connect to you.
And I 100% agree with that because I think about the social media influencers that I follow, and their content is content that's relatable to me.
Mhm.
It's not about the red carpet. That's not my thing, right?
Right.
But I am about someone who has children that's cleaning their home. I watch the cleaning videos
Yes,
because
me too.
yeah, because that resonates with me. I'm a mom, I have a kid, I have grandkids, and I have to manage my life, my business, my home, and I love a pristine house. So, watching videos that are related to me
Right.
and that connect and resonate to me are very important. I love to see the person who gets on and doesn't have any makeup on, any lashes, but then goes through the process of get ready with me
Mhm.
because that's real to me.
Mhm.
So, relatability, I realize, is so, so very important with connecting with your audience. With there being so many different platforms to choose from, that can be so overwhelming.
Yes.
Do I tweet? Do I do Instagram? Do I do Facebook? Do I do what's the other one? Instagram, Facebook,
TikTok, Snapchat, Spill,
Snapchat,
Real. Yeah.
LinkedIn as a professional, being on LinkedIn. What are your thoughts on the various platforms? Should you be on more than one? Is there one that's better than the other depending on what you do? Share your thoughts on that.
So it's funny. Last year when Threads launched, I posted this image of it was Drake and all the different platforms, and I'm like, today is a tough day for social media marketers because where your brain is spread between all the different platforms and each are unique and there are different strategic approaches for each of them. So it's really how many ways do you want to divide yourself in your content? That's almost how you have to look at it because you have to create unique content for each. And there are nuances, right? Where you don't need a full new creative, but like you need to cut it different ways that will work. I think like if I think about entrepreneurs and platforms, I would start with understanding trends and understanding your interest. So if TikTok is too overwhelming because it just feels like it's younger, right? Then maybe you wouldn't start there. Maybe you might start at an Instagram where photos and carousels do a little bit better, or maybe you want to go to a Facebook where the audience is a little older, right? It depends on what is your business, how do you kind of show up, where do you feel comfortable in starting to build it. But trends are important because there are platforms that are in the major leagues right now, but they are dwindling down. If you look at declines year over year, you'll see they're starting to fade away as older generations get older, as Gen Z goes to different platforms, right? So it's like, who are you trying to sell yourself to? I would start there. And then
Mm.
where do you feel comfortable? How do you feel comfortable starting to tell your story and the story of your business or the story of your dreams? I would say a couple of years ago when I was working with clients, I would say TikTok isn't the number one priority. And well, that's changed with COVID and every generation is on TikTok now. And I think you can get so immersed in it and you can learn so much quickly. And TikTok is like the one platform where they really don't care what you look like. They want you to be as natural and raw and unfiltered as possible. And that is the content that actually kind of circles up to the top.
Yes. I find myself that's my before I go to bed social media scroll, where there was a time where it was Facebook, it's TikTok. Like
Mhm.
right I go to bed, I go through TikTok, and my husband will tell you I've been cooking more
Yeah.
because all of those wonderful videos of all the different food and people cooking. Um, I absolutely love TikTok because,
Well,
like
look, I
you
want to give you a shout out because I have to have at least 500 saved recipes, and I have maybe tried one, but I am determined every day that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna make that. So if you are actually applying it, like, shout out to you because I love those videos, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
said.
do it this
Mhm.
weekend, and
Yes.
it is, just does not happen.
Yes, I love it. I love TikTok. And I again, that's a platform that's newer to me as far
Mhm.
as putting content on there. And I've created a few videos and put it on there, but it seems like I'm a little bit more comfortable with Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook. And just to be forthright, I think that's probably where my target audience is. But I do want to be able to reach Gen Z,
Yeah.
and some of the younger, folks that are on TikTok. So that's definitely, as I'm thinking about my strategy, my marketing strategy, that's an area that I recognize that I need growth in. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of people are on these platforms not just to market themselves and their services, but it's also known that there is a way to monetize through your content that you're posting on social media. What are some effective ways, or if you could just share some tips, techniques on how to actually begin to monetize on social media?
So I would say there are it's the same thing that you were saying about the food videos. There are so many videos where people literally tell you like what's the A to Z plan on how to do something. Like a few months ago, I was looking at a YouTube video and people were talking about they use natural sounds and they just loop it and they put ads against it and
Mhm,
whatever the incremental right revenue is, that is where they're building money from. So something that simple. I would say on the other platforms, it is creating, I think one, it's creating content that is within the guidelines of those platforms. So whether there is like a recommended total runtime, I was going to say TRT, total runtime. Are you using the right specs? And by total runtime, like how long is it? And is it long enough for a brand or platform to actually put an ad against it? That's one. I'm not as tapped into like the individual ways of growing revenue on the platforms. What I do know as a brand leader, um, the one thing that I do love is when talent surfaces to my desk or my DMs and they are up and coming, and I'm like, how do I use them? Right? Like, this is a person that I want to save because there will be a day when I have a campaign, and this is the person that I want to go to. There are so many opportunities. I think last year I launched this project called Project Nano Micro, and it was looking for up and coming content creators who did not have as many followers on TikTok. And we put $100,000 investment into a few content creators, and we leveraged them to create content for BET. These were not known or notable content creators, but it was people that we saw had a passion for
mhm,
whatever they were speaking to, and how do we kind of help bring them to light. So I know brands are thirsty for great talent, original content, partnerships like that. So for me, it is creating content that is good and sticky, and that in itself, right there, whatever that algorithm is, it meets my friends, and then my friends send it to me, or then I find it, and then I typically will DM you and say hi, you know how can we work together. So I think as a brand, that's one way. Always looking for talent for campaigns. And then the other thing is for platforms, once once you become relevant enough in the ecosystem of that algorithm, the platforms are also looking for that talent. I know Meta and TikTok both have content creator programs where
mhm.
they invest in content creators. There have been moments where I've partnered with Meta and TikTok and brought content creators to the red carpet of the BET Awards, and they hosted on the press line and got to interview the talent, and tickets to the BET Awards, and getting that entire experience and getting to experience it and then recap what that moment was as a content creator. So I think there are like three different entry points, if I would say. There's the way that there are ways to individually make revenue on social. There are ways to do it through brands, and I think there are also ways to do it through platform partnerships.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. That was very, very helpful because you hear the word monetization over and over again. It's almost like a buzzword. And so thank you for sharing some very practical tips on how not just entrepreneurs, but content creators in general can leverage social media for monetization.
I will say one build there is be clear about your brand. Because, for example, there was one young lady that was sent my way, and I was actually looking for her to be a red carpet host. But once I got to her page, it was all like beauty and like her out on dates or her at restaurants, but it wasn't really, I couldn't find any video of her speaking or to kind of get a sense of could she handle the red carpet. It was like all makeup or fashion. I was like, okay, well, is she an interviewer, a correspondent, a host, or is she kind of into fashion? And I think it's striking that balance between if you are using your personal page to make sure that you are still elevating and prioritizing the position of like who are you trying to present yourself to be? Because if I'm down 6-7 rows and I still can't find what it is, then time is of the essence. So I'm going to skip and go to, the next person. But I have found that there have been instances where it was clear that people had not begun the consistency of branding themselves. And it's a little bit harder to kind of see that what are you trying to sell to me in terms of who are you, what do you want, what do you dream, what do you believe in, and then how could you represent my brand? That has been something that I've noticed across pages, where sometimes people step out of the brand element and, posting things that just don't align with what they're trying to present to, I think, a brand.
Thank you. That is so good. And as you were just saying that, I'm thinking about my own personal, specifically Facebook page and some of the things that I posted. I'm like, I wonder if that consistency of my brand is there. Would somebody be able to recognize that I am the wealth strategist because I market on my personal page as well.
Yeah.
In fact, I've kind of transitioned because they have that digital creator professional mode you can do with Facebook now. So I've gravitated to that. So that's something that I will be more intentional about. Even as I'm posting personal things, what is the nexus or connection to my brand? So thank you for sharing that.
And I think it's still it's striking the balance, right? Your brand, part of your brand is being a wife and a mom. And I think you want to include that because it also gives me context of, who are you as a person? Who is Jade Michelle, right? She's all of these things, right? And her passion is wealth. So balancing it helps, right? But being mindful that every post still has intention. And it all kind of funnels to like, what's the overall brand story that you're trying to tell about yourself? And it's funny because I've always been like this, even before I was like really in marketing leadership roles. There are t-shirts that I don't wear, right? Because it's like, what is the messaging on it? Is that my walking billboard? There are, if I'm out with my friends and we're certain places, like I don't post certain locations or certain things that, we may be around because like, that's not my brand. And it's not consistent with like what I want to, just share in terms of this is who I am as a package. So I'm like, even when it comes down to t-shirts, I'm very specific about what I wear.
Thank you. Yes, it's very important for us to be consistent and to make sure that whatever it is that we are presenting to the public, that it's in alignment with who we are, which our brand represents who we are. Where can we find you at on social media? Because you are a wealth of information. I wished I could interview you for hours, but I can't. So where can we find you at on social media?
Yes, it is really consistent. It is at Ashley, the letter K Grayson on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. That was one of the rebranding. I used to have my own little clever Instagram names, and I was like, you know what? It needs to be consistent. So if someone is looking for you, they can find you one place, they can find you all places. So it is literally at Ashley K Grayson on every platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashley, for
Really appreciate
joining
this.
us
Yes.
today and sharing all of these wonderful tips. And I know that we will connect again in the future. So you heard it, folks. Go follow Ashley on all platforms at Ashley K. Grayson.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for joining us, Ashley.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, I want to share with you because, as I mentioned earlier, it is Black History Month, and I want to share with you all this amazing campaign that we are launching, the We Shall Prosper campaign. We are going to be utilizing this month to empower our African American community with financial literacy. Every Thursday, beginning February the 8th, we will be releasing a web series that is dealing with financial empowerment, wealth, and how it has impacted us as a community, even from a historical standpoint. So make sure you go to my YouTube channel, the Just Here to Help channel, and subscribe, turn on those notifications so that you can receive information about the We Shall Prosper campaign. Thank you all so much for tuning in and joining me on today's Money Monday. Please make sure that you are liking and sharing this podcast with your audiences across all platforms. You all be blessed, you all be prosperous, and you have a fabulous day. I'll see you later.